Hi everybody, and welcome back to another week of training solely from sunny Spain this week. So the whole week will include sessions. I've took the GoPro out on pretty much every run this week in where we are in Torrevieja in southern Spain. So we're joined on the first day. Monday is following the Santa Pola half marathon that myself and Robbie completed at the weekend, and that was in last week's video. So going into Monday's sessions was a double easy day on Monday. The priority was just to recover from the Santa Pola half marathon, where we both PB'd at. In the morning we did an easy run. So the easy run was 6 miles at 7:13 pace with Robbie, and then it was still fairly easy in the evening as we did a shorter run, but it was at a bit of a steadier pace there. So 5 miles at 6:53 pace, and that was with both Robbie and Sam. Moving on to Tuesday's run. So originally the plan was that we were going to do track on Tuesday, but the weather wasn't looking so good. It was a little bit windy, a little bit cold on Tuesday, so we decided to do a steady run in the morning as well. So this was a bit of a harder day than Monday. Myself, Robbie and Poppy all did 10 miles at 6:47 pace on the trail, just behind John and Sam, who were running a little bit quicker than we were willing to go that morning. Then in the evening, again with Poppy and Robbie, we did 4 miles at 7:38 pace, so a little bit easier, and probably one of the slowest runs of the week that we did really on that Tuesday evening there, ahead of track session on Wednesday. So Wednesday was track session day, and we all joined on the group for a track session there. So all the group who've been training here all met, although we were doing slightly different sessions, and myself and Robbie found ourselves hopping onto a bit of Poppy's session and helping out with some of the pacing there, which going into the session, myself and Robbie hadn't done too much track work before, and we didn't really know what sort of pace we'd be running at. Knew that we couldn't complete the same volume as some of the runners out here, so we did join and do about half of that session. So we took it in turns to pace Poppy on her session there, which Poppy's just come back from representing GB at the European Cross Country Championships, and her session was something along the lines of 1 mile and then 4 400s. This was repeated around 3 or 4 times, so I think she ended up doing 4 of the mile reps and 3 lots of the 4 400s. So myself and Robbie session ended up being about 3.7 miles in total, and we were able to hit some good times on mainly the 400 meter reps. We were looking at low 70 seconds for there, which was just about right for the pacing there. We both felt we had a really good session, so 3.7 miles in total. On the reps, that's equating to just under 5-minute mile pace, and then on the 800 meter reps, that was looking at around 5:10, 5:15 pace for myself and Robbie there. In the evening on Wednesday, it was a bit of a recovery in the evening. I didn't double run that day. I decided to have a bit of a rest, so I hopped on the bike for Sam's 7-mile run in the evening. So just giving my legs a bit of a rest and kept Sam company for that evening run on Wednesday. Thursday session, so we'd planned to do a bit of a longer run, myself and Robbie, but this was the day after we'd done track session. So originally we planned to do this on a Friday, the longer run, and give ourselves a bit of time to recover from one of the harder sessions. So we ended up in the end doing 12 miles, and it was fairly decent pace for us, around 7:20s there. So Could have been a bit longer of a run, but 12 miles, we'll take that in the morning there. That was it for the day on Thursday, just that 12-mile run at 7:20s with Robbie and Poppy there. Friday session, so again another double day on Friday, but a bit of a shorter volume day. So we'd done a 4-mile tempo. Myself, Robbie and Harriet had done this. I in fact did drop off Robbie and Harriet. I just did around about 6:25 pace for that 4-mile tempo, which, considering I'd done around 6:10s for half marathon at the weekend, it should have been around about 6-minute mile pace. I should be able to hit half marathon pace for a 4-mile tempo, but my legs weren't feeling great. And that was just the pace that I could hold. So 6:25s for 4 miles in the morning, and then in the evening myself and Robbie did a bit of an easier run as well. So 5 miles we did at 7:20 pace on Friday night. Saturday's run, again for me this was a slightly shorter run. We had planned to go down to the track and do a similar session to what we did on Tuesday, but the track had a athletics competition on, so we couldn't go there. So we ended up heading over to the tempo loop that we've been working on. Whilst everyone was warming up, I just decided to do an easy run because I didn't think that I'd be able to drop in with the tempo session, as the paces would have been a lot too quick for me really. On a bigger loop I could have been alright for sort of 400 metres to keep up with some of the session, but not on a 1-mile loop there. So I just decided to do a 3.5 mile easy run on Saturday, and then I hopped on the bike for the session. So it was a really good session. A good group of athletes there who hit some real good times on the session there, and I was able to hop round on the bike, helping out with being a bit of a windbreak at times, and then being able to get some footage on the GoPro as well. So we got quite a lot of clips from that session. It was good to have a good group there working hard together on about 2 or 3 different sessions they were doing, but it worked quite well that everyone was all on the same loop, all putting in some good work and getting a lot from it really as well. So that was Saturday's session. Sunday's run, so I was 60 miles in my legs going into Sunday, and Sunday's long run I did a 20-mile run. So I was thankful to be joined by Harriet Bloor for the first sort of 6 to 8 miles of my session, and we ran on the same trail. So Harriet's a promising young student athlete from Loughborough Uni, and she's also coached by Vince Wilson, who's Sam Harrison's coach, and they train together on the track sessions at Loughborough. So they've been working well, training together. And obviously Harriet runs a lot quicker than I would, so that's why she only stuck with me for the first 6 miles and then dropped her pace down for the remainder of her run there. So it was good to have Harriet for company on that run. In terms of the stats of a run, it's the first 20-mile long run that I've done since Frankfurt Marathon, so it's probably going back to the end of October in the marathon, and I don't think I quite made it to 20 miles without stopping there. So you're probably talking around late September time was the last time I'd done a proper 20-mile run. So it did feel a bit heavy in the legs after, but I did hit 7:05 pace, which is sort of around 30 seconds outside what my target marathon pace would be. So I was really pleased with that, and a solid session there on Sunday. In terms of the fueling for this long run, it's something I do want to keep working on for the marathon, because it is an important aspect of the marathon. I took 2 of the 40-gram OTE gels and a bottle of water on the route. So I'd probably like to take 4 if I could in the whole marathon, but it did feel okay to just take the 2. They went down okay. I didn't have any stomach issues with them at all, really. So quite happy to get a bit of fueling practice in on there, and it's something I will like to bring into more sort of 18 to 22 mile runs when I decide to do my next marathon block in future. Time for a few reflections on the week as a whole in general, really. So in terms of mileage, 80 miles, it's the biggest mileage week I've done by about 20 miles for quite some time, really. Probably since my last marathon block for Frankfurt, where I was doing around 70 to 75 peaking at, and I did a little bit more mileage in September last time I was here in Torrevieja. So in terms of how it felt, really, I know I did hit a few more sessions, probably 1 or 2 extra sessions than I'd done in a normal week back home, but in terms of recovery and the mileage, it felt similar to, say, like a 50-mile week back home. When you've got full-time work commitments and everything else at home, you don't quite get the time in the day to recover between sessions and to have the opportunity to double run as much, which double running I do find easier than doing, say, a 10 to 12 mile all in one go. It's much easier to split it up into an 8 and a 5 if you're trying to build up a bit of mileage there. So 80 miles, but realistically felt like about the equivalent of 50 back home. So I've not really overstraining, I don't think, through this week. I was pleased to hit that 20-mile long run. I was pleased with the track session on Wednesday, where I was able to hit some good paces on there. Slight disappointment on the tempo on Friday, but that was probably just because I'd done the half on Sunday. I've been training hard all week, probably just was caught up in my legs a little bit on Friday, so maybe should have just done an easy or a steady 8-miler there instead of that 4-mile tempo. So all in all, a great week of training. I've got another 3 days out here, so I'm out here until Wednesday next week. So then next week's video will have a few clips from Torrevieja and then the rest of my training back in England. So check in again next week, and thanks for watching. Make sure, if you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button and let me know of anything you'd like in future videos in the comments.